Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And now it's time for the wonderful world of technology with your host, Tony Walker.
Well, this ought to be good.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Back in the 1960s, one of my favorite things to do on a Sunday night was plop down in front of our old console TV and watch The Wonderful World of Disney. It was colorful, magical, and it could take you anywhere without leaving your living room, whether that was Fantasyland, Adventureland, or even Tomorrowland. And today we've borrowed that title with a little twist for this episode that we're calling The Wonderful World of Technology, in which we'll explore how real-world technology is shaping the way we travel, connect, and even plan for retirement. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, Tony Walker. And before we get into the various technologies we use to assist our clients better plan for retirement, let me introduce two young lads who never go obsolete in producing this show each week. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, and Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson. Okay, before we get into the many tools we are using to help our clients plan for retirement, let's take a quick ride through the evolution of technology in one of my favorite areas, transportation. We'll start with the chariot. For the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans, this was cutting-edge stuff. Faster travel, more cargo, and bigger connections. Pretty good for two wooden wheels and a horse. Then came the horse itself attached to a buggy, which folks back in the 1600s thought could never be topped. But then along comes the steam engine train. Suddenly, with the train's ability to travel hundreds of miles in just a few days instead of a few months, the world becomes much smaller. Trips that took weeks could now be done in days, meaning more people could explore more travel at more destinations. And of course, we've got the automobile. First laughed at due to its clunky and inefficient mechanics, Henry Ford's assembly line soon changed everything, giving everyday Americans the freedom to go wherever they wanted, whenever they wanted. Following the invention of the automobile came the airplane. That's right, folks, making coast-to-coast or even international travel as easy as hopping in the car. And believe it or not, less than 70 years after the Wright brothers' first flight, mankind was landing and walking on the moon. Moral to the story, the future has a way of showing up whether we're ready for it or not as time goes on. And these technological advancements become even more rapid, and that's right, harder to believe and conceive. Can anyone say self-driving cars? So what in the world do these technological advancements in travel have to do with your retirement? Well, as you're about to learn, just like transportation, the tools and technology used by retirement planning firms such as Tony Walker Financial are constantly evolving. And while the big boys on Wall Street, armed with their big budgets and fancy platforms, have always cornered the market on technology, guess what? Not anymore. Because today, the little guys like Tony Walker Financial have the same technologies to offer and the same products as the big boys. Technology that is now at our fingertips, allowing us to better serve more and more savers than ever before. Whether it is helping you map out a game plan for retirement, monitoring your investments, or keeping you updated on the latest tax strategies, we've built a wonderful world of technology right here. It's designed not only to replace personal service, but rather to enhance it. So stay tuned, sit back and enjoy. This is the Worry-Free Retirement, and we will be right back. Don't let the fear of running out of money in retirement keep you up at night. Turn your 401k into mailbox money for life by logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 877-499-9255. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. We're having a lot of fun here today. We're going to talk about the little guys, that's Tony Walker Financial, and how we can now compete with the big boys and the purpose of all of these new technologies that we have available to us versus what's always been to them. You see, we use technology to improve our efficiency so that we can spend more time with our clients so that we can keep that personal touch going. On the other hand, many of those big boys out there are using these same technologies to broaden their profit margins so they can spend less time with their clients. Two totally different philosophies, and one that savers should take note of, especially when it comes to trusting all of their life savings with someone in their retirement. Now, to help us better understand the many new technologies we use at Tony Walker Financial, with us in the studios, we have to my left here, Juanita Jackson, who's in charge of our Schwab New Business Department, and my favorite nephew, Wes Walker. And through the magic of Zoom technology, here we go, Miss Heather Hughes. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning, Tony.
And we're gonna start with you since you've been with us the longest, 19 years at Tony Walker Financial. Give us a quick history lesson in terms of the changes we have made at Tony Walker Financial to embrace the changes and all the technology available to us.
Oh, there's been so many changes for, in the past 19 years. You're making me feel old, by the way. But no, when we first started working on getting a deliverable plan to a client, I used to do those by hand, with just the help of Excel, working out all those formulas and everything on my own. Then after that, we decided that that was not going to be sustainable. So, you and I had worked with a developer to develop our planning software, and that was kind of a game changer for us. It produced a really nice quality product for the client to understand their game plans and everything like that. As we've grown, though, we've also realized that we needed help on our client relations manager. And we have recently, beginning in 2024, through this year, this project's still kind of ongoing, probably even through next year, adopted a new client relations manager that helps us more efficiently handle all the client service requirements and things like that. Plus, our reporting has just been so much better.
And we turn to Juanita and Wes. Let's see, Wes, you've been with us roughly 6 years.
It'll be 6 years in January.
And then Juanita?
3 years.
3 years. Okay, so Heather mentions 19 years moving forward. Wes, in 6 years. Speak to just all the technology changes you've seen in just 6 years here at Tony Walker Financial, particularly in the investment department.
Yeah, rapidly evolving with technology. I think all industries are kind of seeing that as the forefront of new technologies come out. We've certainly been, I think, good about adopting technologies as they become available. From a trading perspective, an investment perspective, we've taken up many different things from our reporting. We use a software to create our own reports so that we can, kind of show rates of return and more detailed reporting on the performance of holdings, as well as with trading. We've adopted processes and technologies to be able to more efficiently trade client accounts. So we've done a good job, I think, on adopting all these technologies as they come available to us.
Yeah, I know with you and Shannon at the helm as far as trading, I think some people are shocked that we do everything in-house. I mean, 20 years ago, there was no technology like that out there for a little guy to make the trade. So explain in detail how that works. If somebody says, hey, I need to get $50,000 out, how do we jump into that immediately?
Yeah, back in the day, that might have been a process where you iteratively would have had to trade, multiple positions in the same account through different trades. Could have taken a long time by hand. Now with technology, there's rebalancing software in which you can just basically spell out the trades you want to happen, and it'll execute those trades for you. Also keeping an eye on people's allocations within certain holdings so they don't cross over thresholds, this sort of thing. So there is a wide range of technology we've adopted to better trade and implement investment decisions.
And then Juanita, you're doing such a good job in just 3 years. It's amazing how much you've learned and taken over in the new business department in Schwab, but how the technology available to us and what we can do. I know, I'll give you an example. Now, generally, we don't like to do this on the fly, but we've got a client or a prospective client. They called in yesterday and said, you know what? We want to move forward to recommendations, Tony. We want to get all this money moved over. But by the way, we're getting ready to head out of town in 2 days, and we're going to be gone for like a month. So how can we move into action that quickly and set up these accounts?
Well, the answer is yes, we can help them. We are quickly adopting digital workflows, account applications that can be signed electronically. They don't have to be in the office. We also have the ability to prepare the documents while they're here quickly and have several systems in place in order to process transfers, be able to assist them with getting statements. And the capabilities with Schwab, they continue to enhance the ability for us to allow the client to sign documents without having to be in-house. And so we can also send out transfers. We can send out a lot of documents to them that saves them time. And additionally, we're available to them when they go through that digital workflow. Some clients aren't familiar with technology. They're not comfortable with it. We stay on the phone and we walk them through it.
I think that's a key because more and more people are having to deal with technology and these 1-800 numbers. But we are here to help them. If some people probably even just say, hey, I don't want to do this. I want to come into the office and sign all these documents, correct?
Absolutely. They're not going to start pressing numbers on a call tree to reach the wrong representative and be authenticated 3 times before they get to the right person. They're going to reach us. We're going to answer their questions, and then we're going to make it convenient for them to either come in and we'll assist, or we can do that digitally.
That's a good point too. I might bring that up from a trading perspective. We're not putting this on the client that they have to make these trades on their own. They're not, going to log into their account and start having to make all sorts of things. They're still calling someone that they know, that they've talked with in person in the past, and then we're implementing the technology to make the trades on their behalf. So I think that's an important part of things too. They still are able to use the phone and contact us.
That is an excellent point, Wes. Now, Heather, I'd like you, as we kind of wrap this up and thinking about technology, somebody's met with us on several occasions. You're on the front lines in terms of the new business, and they say, yeah, I'm ready to move forward, but how in the world am I going to move all this money over to you guys? That's got to be intimidating for a lot of our new clients.
Oh, it can be very intimidating because, one, they've probably never done this before. And 2, it's a lot of money that they're dealing with. A lot of times it's their life savings. But what I like to tell clients when they are ready to move forward is, of course, there's going to be some paperwork involved and we'll help them through that. But it's our job to do all the heavy lifting and get all the money moved over in good order. So with the help of technology, as Juanita had mentioned before, we can do that pretty efficiently. Of course, there is paperwork to do, but that's what we're here for, is to get everything in place, as they wish it to be. The one thing that, you kind of looking back on all the time I've had here is, we've never been afraid of adopting new technologies and going with, new changes and new efficiencies. And I think that's one of the reasons that Tony, especially you, we don't rest on our laurels and don't say, well, that's the way we've always done that. So what's the best, the newest, better way to get things done efficiently? And that's one of the things that's always so exciting here.
And actually, one more thing, Wes, speak to the fact that we're seeing more and more advisors and big boys raising their fees, not lowering their fees, and how we are trying to do our best to keep those fees reasonable for our clients.
Yeah, they're in the asset management world. So with different funds, we've seen over time a compression of fees where fees go down and down. That's asset management. That's the funds themselves. But on the advisor side, when you're working with someone who is an individual financial advisor or registered investment advisor, those fees have actually gone the opposite direction. They've started to creep up higher and higher, getting into the 1.5s, 1.75% annually, 2%. But these big boys, as they're called, they have sole discretion on what they'd like those fees to be. As the owner of the company, you have the power to set those fees. And I still think that our fee ranges are very reasonable compared to what's out there in the marketplace, particularly for the account values that we manage.
Well, speaking of managing things, thank you so much for all 3 of you and all the staff does and managing all this new technology. Folks, good stuff coming your way. We'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. Speaking of new technologies and the way savers receive monies in their mailbox, something we call
Mailbox money!
Check this out. It appears that the government will no longer send to retirees the Social Security payment benefit checks by way of paper checks. Instead, those same retirees must rely on technology to receive their monthly benefits. And as I would like to say, so much for mailbox money. Okay, let's keep moving along with another way that we at Tony Walker Financial are embracing new technology. I'm going to go to the whiteboard right now.
Hey, Tony?
Yeah, what's up, Aaron?
That guy that used to call you on the radio back in the 80s is on the phone. What? Elwood Gold Rush?
Oh my gosh, Elwood Gold Rush? He's on the phone?
Yeah, he's saying something about no longer getting his mailbox money from the government. Do you want me to just patch him through to you?
All right, put him through. Hello, Elwood. What can I do for you, sir?
Well, hey, Tony. What's this I hear you say about me and Martha no longer getting our mailbox money from Social Security?
Well, yeah, that's right, Elwood. It looks like they're going to start sending your monthly mailbox money electronically straight to your bank account.
So I won't be able to walk out to the mailbox each month and get it?
Yeah, that's right. But that's pretty cool, don't you think?
Well, now that's a problem, Tony.
Why's that?
Well, I tell you, ever since FDR bought all that gold back, I don't trust them fellers at the bank. So me and the little missus have kept our money buried in the backyard. That's why I need that mailbox money you talk about coming in the mailbox.
Wait a minute, Elwood. You mean you keep all your money buried in the backyard?
Yep, and guess what? Nobody knows where it's buried, so you don't want to be getting no ideas to come dig it up when I'm dead and gone, Tony.
But Elwood, if nobody knows where you've got it buried, who's going to be able to find it when you die?
Hey, Martha, give me a piece of paper and pen. We need to draw us up a map.
Okay, back to the show. Folks, we need to talk about annuities and very briefly how pre-technology annuities are still viable. Don't get me wrong, the annuities we offer at Tony Walker Financial, but I'm going to show you post-technology and one of the annuities we're using, pretty cool stuff. Okay, briefly, there's basically 4 types of annuities, folks. Now, there's hybrids. There's all kinds of variations on these themes. Don't make this so complicated. In fact, I've written a great book on this. It's about annuities called Annuities Made Easy. You can order it. We'll send you a hard copy if you want to, or you can download it at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Very good read. And in fact, if you're getting ready to buy an annuity, I would slow down, get a second opinion from us folks. You don't want to get stuck in the wrong annuity. But basically, there's immediate income annuities. Those are called SPIAs. Single premium immediate annuities. We use those some. One of the most popular annuities is a deferred income. I like to call them structured income annuities, whereby you put the money in, it gets a certain guaranteed interest rate, and then at some point in the future, you'd get your mailbox money, and that income's paid for the rest of your life. But you defer the income to a later time. We also have short-term accumulation annuities. Again, these would be fixed interest or fixed indexed annuities. Short term in my world means that there's a term of 5 years or less. Again, the term refers to surrender charges. Key point here, because with any of these annuities I'm talking about, if you surrender or cash in the annuity before the end of the term, there's some huge penalties. You got to be aware of that. And then finally, long-term accumulation annuities. These would be annuities that have a term, a surrender term, of more than 5 years, and some of these go all the way out to 15 or 16 years. So nothing wrong with any of these products. We sell a lot of them. That's why they call me the Annuity King. I love these types of products. They're fixed products. They pay a commission to us from the insurance company, so there's no out-of-pocket on your end for these types of products. However, the problem is surrender charges, and if you decide to change your mind and get out of them, you're going to get hit with a high charge. So who is the new kid on the block that we've started using to add to this mix? This is I'm going to call it the post-technology annuity, okay? And it's called a RILA, Registered Index Linked Annuity. Now, what's so cool about this annuity is because this is a non-commissionable annuity, okay? It is fee-based. And currently, as of the date of this recording, we charge 1% per year to manage this annuity. Now, what I like about a RILA is it has something called a buffer built into it, and we would help you select this, but it limits your losses based on the buffer, and you can set these for different things. So if you think the market's going to do well, you might accept a lower buffer, meaning the insurance company is going to take on more of those losses, which means you could get a higher return. Or you could go the opposite. You could accept a very large buffer, meaning they're going to accept very large losses, but you would get a less return if the market goes up. Again, we can explain this in detail, but here's the key with this. Since it's fee-based, okay, this is a key point. There is no surrender charge to get out, because this happens a lot. Sometimes people get an annuity and they just decide they don't want it. Well, again, you get into these surrender charges. Let's say you take out a buffer annuity, a RILA through Tony Walker Financial. A year later, you say, Tony, I need the money, or I've decided I don't want this contract. We can surrender that contract for absolutely no surrender charges. And unlike the old variable annuities that are still lingering out there that can be as much as 3 to 4% a year in fees, that 1% per year is the only fee. So if that's something you might be interested in, if you want to look at a different take on annuities and the technology that affords these annuities that have never been available before, especially to avoid these surrender charges, why don't you do this right now? Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Let's talk by phone. There's no cost or obligation. Or call us anytime at 877-499-9255. We'll be right back.
Tired of the roller coaster ride of the stock market? Let Tony Walker show you how to smooth out the ride with your money. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and we're excited to have in the studio somebody that's always in the studio. They've been on the show from time to time, but I really wanted to bring them in to talk about not only the technologies that we have used at Tony Walker Financial, but more specifically, the technologies we currently use and have used over the past 12 years or so since Aaron Orander and I joined teams. And that's the technology of Worry-Free Productions. So folks, you have to understand something. There's two corporations that I run. Tony Walker Financial is the financial side. But a lot of our marketing, a lot of things that take place to get the message out to the general public comes through what's called the Worry-Free Production side, of which Aaron Orander is a full-time employee, Derek Hudson, Gina Tutwiler is part-time. She does all of our media buying. And then my favorite son-in-law, Trey Juergens, he helps with some of the assistance of laying out the shows and things like that. So those are technically 4 employees of Worry-Free Productions. So what I thought we would do, we have Aaron Orander in the studio and Derek Hudson in the studio, obviously. They're mic'd up and ready to go. And first of all, Aaron, I'd like to go to you. Since you've been with me so long, just address briefly the technologies we had back in, 12 plus years ago, and a single camera or two in that broom closet we used to call a studio versus what we're doing now at 8303 Shelbyville Road in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, Tony, a lot has changed in terms of technology over the past 12 years since I started working here at Tony Walker Financial. Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned the previous studio we worked in, we all affectionately dubbed the broom closet. Well, folks, we called it that because you could barely fit 2 cameras and 2 people in there. Anyway, yeah, now in our studio, we've got light boards and we've got audio mixers. We've even graduated up to 4 cameras, which, yeah, I mean, cameras themselves have become almost like cell phones, these little computer devices that we just carry around.
And Derek, you've been with me how long now?
5 years.
5 years, and doing a wonderful job. You're on the graphics side, but also you do a lot of editing and things like that. But even the software we use and the capabilities, how has technology in your world changed over these past 5 or 6 years?
I mean, absolutely. The biggest change over the last 2 years has just been the prevalence of AI coming up. I try to be a little conscious of like how often I use it and what I use it for. But what it really helps out with is because we have multiple stock image services that, you pay for. And so if we can't find an image on one site, we can find it on another. Well, sometimes you ask for something so bizarre that neither site has it. And I can plug that into AI. Yeah.
Come on, Derek.
Yeah,
that wasn't nice.
And it's like, so it's very useful for that. It might take a number of tries and you might be able to tell it's AI, but like things like that. And then just different services in general that we've added to find different music and things like that.
Yeah, speak to that. So, as an example of the wonderful world of Disney, I said, Derek, let me have you recreate that into the wonderful world of technology. I mean, again, 15 years ago, that probably would have been impossible to try to throw something together. Where would you have even started to recreate something like that?
Well, so if it was 3 years ago, certain things would be, it would be a lot of stock footage. So like there's the firework background and everything. And I did AI generate that for the title graphic today. Text, just matching the font, that's something I could have done myself, but it saved me time by doing it for me. And then the Tinkerbell thing, that was just kind of rotoscoping it in After Effects. That's an old technique.
Okay.
That much I didn't need AI for, but I'm going to see if I can't clean it up a little bit with some AI stuff.
And then, Aaron, you're so much involved in the production of the TV show. I mean, I don't know if it came on through COVID or whatever, but talk about Zoom and how we can now bring, it used to be it was kind of a problem because we'd have to ask people from the Bowling Green office to cart their way up here to Louisville so they could be in the studio. But talk about how we can use Zoom now and bringing those people from Bowling Green right into the studio.
Well, just the aspect of being live, I mean, just that can make all the difference in the world. I mean, there was a time back, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago where we would have an idea for a show and you'd really want to hear from someone who works down in the Bowling Green office. Now, video conferencing has been around for a while, but it definitely wasn't as smooth or as efficient as it is today. So there were times where you would send the questions you were going to ask on the show to someone. They would simply record themselves answering those questions, and then I would go back and edit all of that together to make it look like it was a live interview.
How did years ago, we have to closed caption our shows? I mean, we're sending our shows to major networks. How does that process work? And is some of that automated now to help us with the closed captioning?
All of that is done in-house now. And it wasn't always. We used to have to send it out to various captioning companies, and at times it wasn't a very fast process. Now, there are captioning companies still out there who will charge you a fee, and they'll deliver a file of your captions for your media. But I mean, again, through the advancements in technology and the progression of our editing software, we now have the capabilities to edit and caption the media all within house. Honestly, it's pretty great.
And then, Derek, I know you're pretty involved in AI. Let's kind of switch to the potential bad news here. I mean, we love all this technology, and as the show's theme has been, technology is a wonderful thing, but what is scary about AI? And speak to this especially. We have a lot of clients who are retired, maybe not up on technology. How accurate and how dangerous can this AI be to try to dupe people, whether it's duping them to do things they shouldn't do or duping them out of their money?
Yeah, well, as a society, I think we've been fairly vulnerable to being duped, plenty before AI. And now it's just so much easier to like fool people with things. Like my mom will send me Facebook posts and it's like, Mom, that's clearly not real, But I mean, beyond that, there's those dangers. There's also the dangers of just changing job markets. So many jobs are being automated now. At first wasn't worried about that until I saw how quickly companies were jumping on it before the AI was even ready. So they're eager to like start slashing jobs. And then plus there's the environmental impact. That's something I have to try to ignore, honestly, is it uses a lot of water to run AI programs.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, the energy and the water is, I didn't even know that it was an issue, but apparently it's a huge issue.
There's towns in Texas where like Tesla or some company that uses AI is ruining communities, and they're telling them to use less water so these companies can have it. Yeah.
Well, and yeah, talk about scary stuff out there. Unfortunately, there's something known as the yes scam that seems to be a pretty big problem. And the way it works is this. These companies may ask you a question over the phone that is like a yes or no question. Something like, hello, can you hear me okay? And when you say yes or yes, I can hear you, they record your voice saying the word yes. And then they may use it to get some sort of authorization from you for a payment or maybe some type of, transfer of funds. I don't know, something like that. It's crazy what technology is capable of now.
Gosh, scary stuff, folks. So, folks, here's the bottom line. You got to find somebody local you can trust, people you can meet in person to confirm who they are and how they're going to help you. And if that's your situation right now, if you're looking for somebody you can trust, log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Let's take advantage of that free phone call. We can meet in person if it warrants. And call us anytime also at 877-499-9255. Well, we've enjoyed being with you. We'll talk to you next week on the Worry-Free Retirement. But between now and then, if all else fails, you be worry-free and you make it a good one.